All right, everybody, it's 4 o'clock. This is the Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting of Wednesday, October 22nd. We have the minutes of the September 17th meeting. Do I have a mover and a seconder to accept that? Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. The next meeting will be November 19th, tentatively here in the Anderson Room at 4 o'clock. Are there any additions or agenda item deletions? Councillor McNulty, I think you wanted to add. Hold on, I've just got Michael first, and then we'll come to you.
Yeah, thanks. I have, at the end, I have two questions to staff, and then before that, I'd like to add two items. One we could call Ferguson Road, and that's on Sea Island.
Yeah.
And then the second one would be Handy Dart.
Okay.
That's all, thanks.
And Councillor McNulty, you wanted to add, I believe it was Kingfisher.
Report from staff on Kingfisher and Stevenson Highway.
Okay, good. All right, we'll get update on staff from those two. Okay, with the changes to the agenda, moved and seconded, perfect. So item 1 on the agenda is the 2026 proposed paving program, and the report is in our binder. Thank you very much, Sorkin. Is there anything you would like to add to? You're already live.
Madam Chair, nothing to add. Available for questions.
Okay, Councillor Heed.
Yes, there's going to be a bit of a common theme here on what we do with all of our construction delays, but is a significant amount of this going to be done off-peak times where it disrupts traffic the way we have disruption in Richmond now? For example, my understanding is some of the paving gets done during the nighttime hours. Are we looking at that for this?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, yeah, so some paving is done through the nighttime. Typically also we look at, again, where if you're in a residential area, and that also might impact residents, just sleeping at night and kind of disruption during the night. We also do coordinate with a bunch of the private utility companies and Hydro as well, just to coordinate that these projects can be done sort of in a coordinated manner.
So what are the days during Monday to Friday, or hours during Monday to Friday, which you would commonly pave?
So to the chair to Councillor Heed, so there'll be typical working hours, so generally kind of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, some work might extend into the evening hours. It might go at nighttime as well.
I guess I'm going to ask that we monitor this closely because there's endless number of complaints, and I'm not saying it's all paving related, but certainly with all the construction that's going on. So if you could coordinate it, for example, if there's another artery, main artery, that there's some construction going on there or something like that, for example, on 2 Road, why, hopefully we wouldn't be doing paving on 1 road because that's the route that many people will take. We don't have any coordination of what is going on here. And I'm not saying it's all paving. This is going to be a theme, I'm sure, today when we talk about the chaos. We don't have any, like the right hand talking to the left hand talking to the right hand, so we don't have these problems with traffic congestion. People trying to get to work and, across or through Richmond.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Heed. So we do try to coordinate as best we can. There are some other projects that do have some timelines, such as grant deadlines or so too, that also dictate that we do want to complete the projects in a timely manner.
And I guess if that's the case, if we're going to, shut down 2 major arteries because of something, I think we've got to seriously consider some nighttime work, nighttime paving. Thank you.
Further to what Mr. Sperlin was saying, he was talking about the general hours of work that we typically allow for paving, but certainly we are very mindful of the morning and afternoon peak times with respect to the paving hours, as well as the residential neighborhood if they are in close proximity to paving programs. The number 2 road in Westminster Highway was a very, I call unique circumstance where there was multiple construction fronts and staff worked really diligently to get them all coordinated together, so make sure they're not working at the same time, closing different lanes. Having said that, this area was, made worse by all the work that's going on Gilbert Road, which really reduced the number of north-south routes in Richmond. So that project, as council is aware, has been going on for many years. We recently provided an update to council that is expected to be completed next year. we'll provide further updates on that project as Metro progresses on that one. Thank you.
I think we can talk about it now, because 2 in Westminster is going to be significant, and I don't want to add it to the discussion on the chaos in Ironwood. So I think we can talk about it. I think there's a rather larger problem that we have here right now. Thank you.
And I think that the very long timeline for the Gilbert Road new sewer lines and paving, which is done by Metro Vancouver, has been very problematic. And so it hasn't it's made it even more difficult for residents, because we are doing paving on 2 Road or 1 Road or anywhere else, and it happens to coincide with Gilbert, it's really difficult. But I think when Gilbert's finally done by Metro Vancouver, we should have a party and celebrate, because it's just taken another year. It's just, I think it's taken 2 or 3 years. It's crazy.
It's
Okay,
not a street party.
Councillor McNulty?
Just a quick ones from me, Ben. I have to agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Heed. We have to look at how we're going to handle traffic and traffic delays during construction. Through the chair, do people, when they do their, for example, I go to the gym every morning, we already have a traffic flaggers at number 3 Road in Williams, okay? 7 o'clock in the morning, okay, when I'm coming out, they're setting up, et cetera. Do they pick and choose when they're doing traffic? It doesn't seem like they're doing anything, it's just setting it up. So my point here is there a coordinated method by which this can be put on the radio to traffic reports? You know, there's traffic at number 3, et cetera, Williams, avoid that if you want to head across town. Or some of ours are not just as simple as that, they're major. And I think that would go a long ways, as opposed to somebody phoning in star 1130 and telling you about a stalled car on that song. I really think because it takes a half an hour to go across town now, believe it or not, but it used to take 6 minutes. Yeah, well, I know some of the back roads, but seriously, and it's volume of traffic, but it's also delays along the way. So it's a suggestion, maybe they should be reporting to us when they're going to do construction. Somebody send it in or make it part of the agreement. You phone the traffic radio stations, let them know that the public, so they can avoid that. You know, like up where Councillor Heed is, I go up there and I'm back to all the way back to Granville. I'm not just halfway down to Garrison, whatever. I'm already down to Granville and then on 2 Road. And so anyhow, it's a suggestion. And the other question I have, Williams between 4 and 5. If you ever want a bumpy ride in Richmond, have a go up there about 45 miles an hour and have a nice bumpy ride.
You're not supposed to go that fast.
Okay, it's 50 on there.
Kilometers, not
Well, case, but between 4 and 5, it needs paving. I look here, you got 7th Avenue between Chatham and Stevenson Highway. It's gorgeous. It wasn't that long ago we paved it. I walk it every weekend. I'm wondering, why is that going to be repaved? It's beautiful, you know.
Well, we have-
Modeled, our staff did a marvelous job on it.
Let's ask staff the answer to that question.
Okay? So,
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, yes, some of the roads, again, although they may have been recently paved, some roads degrade at a different rate, and then we do have analysis done every year to update us of what are the priority locations to pave.
I'm not going to complain. I'd like you to add Williams between 4 and 5, though, and have a look at it.
Okay.
You know, we've had more building going there, digging up pipes and sidewalk and what have you.
We've got staff that would like to answer that question.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor McNulty, one of the issues with Williams between number 4 and 5 Road is the substructure. It's built on what's called roller compacted concrete. So the problem is if you just mill and pave that, the cracks come right back. We've tried a few different sections there. A couple of years ago, we did put in a capital submission to reconstruct the entire road, but it's in the order of around, the numbers these days will probably be around $10 million. Also, that's the reason that that project hasn't been advanced.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, but thank you for the explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Chan, that explains a lot. Councillor Liu, I believe you have a question.
Thank you through you to staff. Thank you for the report. I noticed that quite a bit of funding comes through TransLink. Now, TransLink funding comes from gas tax, and are there any other sources?
Chair, I'm not too clear exactly where TransLink funding does come from, but yes, this year we have received some additional money from TransLink to deal with some backlog of our roads.
Okay, I think while we appreciate the funding coming from TransLink, if our own people are getting taxed on one hand, somebody else paid to stir it around, our staff has to apply to the grant to do it. Seems like a roundabout way to get things done in any city. And as Councillor Heed said, if grants are driving one, we actually need to do things. But I think staff works pretty hard to determine what actually needs to get done, then match it to a grant that's available. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, I'm not going to say no to TransLink funding, that's for sure. So understand the total budget, if it is approved, this is just proposed, is $9.29 million. So let's see where we're at budget time and see if we can get these projects done. Okay, no other questions? We have a mover. Oh, hold on, Councillor Heed.
Just one question, I don't know if you can answer this. We found out we have $40 million sitting in the DCC road fund. Would that be one of the places where this 9 million would come from?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, so DCC roads is usually for road improvements that support development. More of our money for the paving program is again more about the rehabilitation. So it's a different pot of money.
And what do we have in that fund now? So it won't impact taxes in 2026?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, so this comes out of our general revenue fund for roads.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the ask is an additional 3.037 million, but the original budget was 4.4 million, and then we're getting 1.8 million from TransLink for a total of 9.3 million. So in order to stay ahead of these projects, so, oh, you're a star. Thank you so much. Sorry, frog in my throat. All right, so all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Item number 2 is the bike reuse pilot program review. Ms. Galdanish, do you have anything to add to the report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, this was asked for by the public. They came forward and said, gee, there's all these really great bikes over at the recycling center. Why can't we save them? So we decided to try this program, had about 500 bikes dropped off, and not that many got repaired. I think it was it 30 that ended up getting repaired? So that's an awful lot of money per bike. So option 3 is that we repurpose the bikes, but by using staff members to take a look and see which bikes have an option of, potentially being repaired, and then going from there. So Councillor Liu, did you have a comment, question?
Thank you for this report, and thanks for the program. I agree with the plan that you've put in place. I think it's a good plan. And we spoke about this yesterday or the day before. I spoke to some of the teachers at some of the high schools, and they like getting the bikes and being able to fix them up, and then they're given to students. What one of the teachers mentioned is the challenge to giving them to students is if they don't give them a helmet and a lock, it's the same as not giving them a bike, because now they still can't use it until they can either get to a place to go get a helmet and lock, providing that they have some available funds to go do that. But if we can give them a helmet and a lock, I think that would be really helpful to us, and maybe we can coordinate with the school board, maybe we can figure out what that extra cost is going to be, because I think, we put a lot of money into biking. We have the program with Hub Cycling to teach kids how to bike. We built a lot of bike lanes. I think if we just miss that last little 2 steps out the door for the kids that need it, I think we're missing out here. So I'd love to see that, if we have to raise the amount by, another $1,000 or something to get or a couple $1,000 to get locks and helmets onto these kids so that they're safe and so that then they can ride those bikes that they're being donated. I think that'd be really helpful.
And one of the questions I received from the public was, why couldn't we just put the potentially usable bikes in an area and let people just take them? And what's staff's response to that?
Madam Chair, for that, we would need a dedicated area, and right now, we would need to do a review of the space allocation within the recycling depot. Where the bikes are currently stored for this pilot program is in a staff access only area, so we wouldn't be able to have public go back there. So if that is something this committee would wish, we can look at space allocations. There would also be a concern for our staff safety, should there be a disagreement with the residents on who gets what bike. It could increase the risk of that interaction at the recycling depot.
And I'm wondering if there wouldn't be a way to encourage people even to just put their bikes that they don't want on Craigslist for free, and then just kind of avoid staff involvement altogether.
Yeah, if I may add, Madam Chair, we do, when anybody calls into our information line or through our outreach avenues, we do always recommend reuse through any of the outlets that are already available in Richmond. Those organizations are listed on our website for public access as well.
And so I understand that charities and whatnot would be given priority to come in and pick up the bikes, and how would that process work?
Madam Chair, so we would have a application form and a guideline, including a waiver that they would have to fill out. From there, they would coordinate with a staff member on my team, and we would organize a pickup date on a weekend at the Works Yard parking lot, so not within the recycling depot boundaries. And our staff would help facilitate which bikes would be appropriate for the program that they're offering within the school or the charity for any reuse or repair opportunities.
Again, this $10,000 budget that just uses existing staff, do you think there's possibility that if helmets came in or locks came in, they could put those aside as well?
Madam Chair, I'm not sure of the options in regards to reused helmets. We did look at purchasing helmets and locks as a part of this program, as per Councillor Liu, and on average, that would cost an additional $60 to go alongside one bike. So it really depends on how many bikes are going through this program as to the cost. So generally speaking, if 160 bikes, which is the ones that were identified for reuse and repair opportunities, were to go through this city-run program, that would cost anywhere from about $8 to $10 grand additionally.
Any other questions, Councillor Liu?
No, thank you. Thank you for that.
Councillor McNulty?
Just a quick question. So I keep hearing the word the public. From the recommendation, it looks like we're only talking to organizations, right, on these bikes, not the public.
That is correct, Councillor.
I guess my question is, why are we getting into this business at all? To be quite frank, how many organizations have you talked to that are concerned about getting a bike, 1 or 2 or 3 bikes for their organization, their people in there? How prevalent is this in the community?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, the main stakeholder that we heard from that wanted bikes coming from the Richmond Recycling Depot was the Richmond School District.
So why can't the school district pick up the bikes and take them just across the street to their parking lot and look at them, et cetera? They're obviously not contributing anything on it. And I guess that's my question. You've written a good report, and I'm saying if it's not a way for the general public to have them, and the school districts can look after them, then give them the bikes and let them have them at their depot, and they assign the staff and go on it that way. I'm hearing from the public is we need to be looking at what our core business is, and it isn't giving bikes out to it. And because the public are not involved, strictly schools involved. So from a general point of view, most people, if they have a bike or chair or whatever, they put it at the end of their driveway, and by 10 o'clock it's gone. Somebody's picked it up and for whatever, I'm not sure, and it's not in the city. So I guess I'm reading on your page 19. If it's just for the school district, then it'd be nice to hear something from them and see if they're more involved than us. I have difficulty adding another 10 grand to make $50,000 now, 60 when we're coming up to tax time. I think we got to be very careful.
Did you want to comment on that?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, there are other organizations that were benefiting from the pilot program I have them listed just here. Apologies. It was the International Refugees Support Foundation, Vancouver Coastal Health, Richmond Mental Health Team, Open Door Group, and through the Pedals for the People program. So the 30 bikes that were repaired through the program did go through these organizations to directly benefit Richmond residents as well.
So what was the exact cost of those 30 bikes? We're looking now probably, I guess you can get a good Italian bike for $1,000 and we can start racing. I mean, the more we keep going down this road, the more preposterous it gets, that now I'd rather take them over here to Caps Cycle, and for $400, $500, $600, I can even buy a great bike for, we're now getting to, you know, $1,000 to $1,500 per bike just to save an older bike as opposed to getting a newer bike, which when it goes out is absolutely safe. So anyhow, I have questions. We'll have some good discussion on Monday.
And there was a cost per bike for, I think it was 30 bikes that were repurposed and given out. What was the cost per bike?
Madam Chair, the cost per bike was, so per bike collected was $240. Per bike reused and donated, it was $1,200. Through the proposed city run program, the anticipated cost per bike would be $62.89.
With this $10,000 budget, but is it possible we might not need all of that?
That's correct. That's assuming that we're using the same 160 bikes going through. We don't have any indication of the estimated number that would the school district or any other organizations would be interested in.
And I would suggest that we write a letter to all of the, you know, thrift stores and whatnot and offer them that if you want to come get bikes, we'll have them ready on a particular day at a particular time and, you know, come and get them so we can get those repurposed and take the expense off of the city of Richmond. Because I'm sure many of these bikes, all they need is a little air in the tires and a little oil on the chain. So, Councillor Heed.
Yeah, I want to follow up with what Councillor McNulty is talking about, because I'm not seeing the value in this at all for the taxpayer. And I've got a couple questions with respect to, are there not any nonprofit organizations that would come down with a bin or a truck and take the bikes that are turned into the recycling depot and do what they want with them? Like, most of it, whether they're recycling the material to be reused or fixing the bikes up.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed. So that was the intention of the pilot program that we ran last year. We went out to bid anticipating that there would be quite a few. There was only one organization that bid, and that was at a cost for the city to come and collect and bring it to their site and assess. So that was determined through the pilot program, which is why we're recommending a lower cost city-run program.
And if we're just recycling the material, what would happen then? It'd just go off to the recycler? The one that comes down to the works yard and takes the bins away?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, that's correct. It would be recycled as scrap metal.
Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Wolf.
Thanks. Yeah, I support the option 3 as recommended. I think for a couple reasons. The value here, I think of staff have done great to recommend something that is a much lower cost per bike. I think it would have been great to just go straight to that. Albeit the pilot helped us get there. It helped inform us that not about like the status of bikes that do get dropped off. I actually thought there'd be more of the better shaped bikes getting dropped off, but I was kind of proven wrong by this data. However, as a city, we've been spending a lot of money for multi-use pathways. We have bike park infrastructure. We just won the national award for participation and got $100,000 to promote more recreation and getting people active. We've been funding and promoting these repair fairs. We don't want people to buy things new. We want them to buy them secondhand. So we're not having virgin materials always go into what people have. So I think the many strategies we have, many things that we've already put much bigger expense bills into, this is very small and feeds into that. I support that idea of adding the lock and helmet to bikes that go out, although maybe there's not as much interest around the table for that, and maybe that could be an expense of those charities, because they are potential charity and could get, use their other sources of funds to add that on. But I remember when we approved like 6 years ago or so, the grade 6, 7 program where Hub would go to all these schools and train students. Ideally, they would show up with a trailer full of bikes, and if they don't already have that, this will help feed them to ensure that when they get to a school, they can have a good amount of bikes for people who don't have them, but also let them know, hey, if you don't have a bike after this training, or whatever Hub program people sign up for, adult programs as well, they can be a way for them to get that cost-effective bike. Yeah, just a comment.
Well, I think every kid should have a bike. Councillor Liu, did you have a follow-up?
I did, thank you. I just wanted to be clear. I was only suggesting that we give the helmet and the lock to the ones given to the school boards, because I know, we all know how the school board works. By the time they're going to approve this, we're going to have a whole bunch of bikes that are just lying in a big heap or stolen or something else, and they're not actually going to get underneath a kid and off to school. For the other charities that are taking a bike, they can figure it out and do their own bake sale or whatever they need to do to get a helmet and lock. But I think we just want to get the last mile done and sort it out. I hope that everyone can agree $62.80 for a bicycle, plus it goes through the school program. Kids are learning how to fix bikes. They're learning how to fix them up. They're learning how to assess them themselves, whether or not they're useful. I think we've all picked up a free bike off the side of the road. We've all pumped it with tires, pumped its tires down, whatever, and ridden it until it's finally finished. And then we finished it off by either, if it's still useful, we've passed it on. If it's not, it finally has to go to the reuse it center. I think there's more people going through more bikes in Richmond than we realize. And I think we have to just accept that some of them are, in fact, destined for the junk heap. But the ones we can save for $63 plus a helmet and lock, I think we can afford that, and I think it's worthwhile.
All right, the motion is that we go with option 3, which is a Pike reuse pilot program, option 3. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Okay, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Item number 3 was added on by Councillor Heed. It was traffic problems in the Ironwood area, and you mentioned earlier also number 2 on Westminster Highway. Go, push your button, there you go.
And I guess we're going to have this fulsome conversation with staff, because Ironwood is a disaster. I get calls continually from people that are either in the trucking business or live in that area, like Councillor Day does, but she doesn't phone me on the problem. But and I've been up around that area, and I'll tell you, whether it's related to the overpass, we're gonna have the tunnel coming up, it is a complete disaster, and people are just at their wits' end with that. So that's how it all started up, where I wanted this added to the agenda, because I think we're going to have to talk about, and if we need to put pressure on the province to do their work during the evening, we may have to do that. But then it's expanded, because then the calls are coming in regarding 2 in Westminster, and Roland and I have talked, Manager Swig and I have talked about, it's a complete and utter disaster. They've got this massive problem going on there, and then what do? They decide they're gonna put a storm sewer on River Road, so you can't even go down River Road and under the 2-road bridge, because they've got a storm sewer being put in at the same time the chaos on Westminster Highway. Like, where are the coordination here? We're just infuriating the drivers. No wonder there's road rage out there right now, when they're lined up on the bridge for 30, 35 minutes trying to get through. And I know there's going to be some finality to this, hopefully, eventually. And at the same time, Councillor McNulty gets caught in the traffic at Westminster and Gilbert Road there for a while. The other day coming to council, the traffic going westbound on Westminster Highway was lined up all the way to Gilbert Road because they had one lane at Westminster and 2 Road to go through. The right lane for cars that even wanted to turn right is blocked off before the intersection. So they can't even maneuver into that lane to turn right. Like, I'm just wondering, like, what are our traffic engineers thinking when they go and put all these things together at one time? The people are frustrated in Richmond, absolutely frustrated.
Should we talk to staff about what is the communications / planning protocol for when paving is happening and road work?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, as mentioned previously with the number 2 Westminster, we had 3 concurrent projects that are all working towards deadlines to getting the facility open, the Lulu Island Energy District connected, and of course, the intersection improved. So I can tell the committee staff worked hard and long at trying to coordinate all these different activities. As with any construction project, there was, like anything, unforeseen situation that could arise from day to day. I'm also happy to provide an update. We are nearing completion on the number 2 Westminster Highway project. We're hoping to be complete by the end of November. The next big, impact would be this Saturday during off-peak hours. The intersection will go dark. What that means is we're turning off the signals because we are now switching over to the new system on Saturday. So on Saturday, the intersection will be controlled manually with traffic control person. And after that, some of the new lanes will be open to traffic. So we anticipate some improvements will occur after this weekend. And certainly by the end of November, we expect the intersection to be fully reopened for use. With respect to the Ironwood, I appreciate the discussion. I know particularly, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, during the whole week, the province advises they're closing their right lane. They want to go eastbound to southbound. And we understand that caused a lot of concerns. We've heard from businesses in the Ironwood area. That lane closure has now been all reopened. And staff are also looking forward for this signal or for this interchange to be completed. And I think for the traffic to normalize, recalibrate to the new norm once it reopens, it's been on staff's mind for a while. There's been some historical work done on this interchange. What can we do with respect to truck turns, with respect to bus lane, RCMP, and then we've looked at different options. I think staff's thoughts are right now is for now we'll wait for the interchange to reopen. Once that resettles, we'll do an updated traffic count. We'll maybe bring this back to the committee with information and some options for consideration. And understanding that the jurisdiction is also with the province east of number 5 Road. So just some preliminary comments, happy to answer any more with the transportation team here as well.
So I just want to ask a question. So when we know that these traffic tie-ups are happening, do we alert like 11:30, like traffic radio to let them know so people can divert?
Madam Chair, I can't speak to the radio component. I do see personally all of the social media posts. With respect to the radio, I do not know if we report and they choose to not, or whether or not we're not even reporting to the traffic radio. That's something I'll have to take offline unless Mr. B knows that answer with respect to the radio.
Oh, wrong. Sorry. There you go.
Great. With respect to the radio, I'm not certain. I don't believe we do. We do a lot of signage though, and a lot of social media posts.
Very much, Andy. When I'm in my car, I'm not going on social media. I'm listening to the traffic station. So I wonder if that shouldn't be something we consider doing when we know there's going to be, maybe for half a day or a whole day. Maybe we should alert the radio stations so that they can report it because it costs us nothing, and they're always looking to report the latest traffic due to construction, right?
Yeah,
So.
absolutely, Madam Chair. We've heard you at this meeting, and we'll certainly look towards to see what we can do in that regard.
Councillor Heed, did you want to follow up?
Yeah, I do is, we try and justify, but we don't mitigate. And when we have our taxpayers in Richmond that are trying to make ends meet, whether it's their business or not, they're the ones being inconvenienced by all this. And now I hear 2 in Westminster is November. First of all, we had the lights that indicated for people going, or the signs. It was going to be September, then October, now I'm hearing November.
I think it was number 2 road in Westminster Highway.
Yes, that's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Now, I'm surprised it's November, but, this trying to say, well, that's just the way it is, that's just the way, no. I guess what I'm looking for is whether it's through an education piece, yes, that's one part of it, Chair, to notify the radio stations. But there's got to be some way we can mitigate this. I don't care if you got a damn deadline you have to make, okay? So these people have to be at work at a certain time or at home to pick up their kids at a certain time. Those are important deadlines, not all this other stuff. So if we don't have staff that can see that's what we need to start doing, and Mr. B, I'm glad you're listening to us here. We've got to figure something out, because what we have going on right now is just not meeting the needs of the businesses and people in Richmond.
Councillor Wolf, I believe you were next. Oh, no, Councillor Hobbs, sorry.
Yeah, thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, I'm not a member of the committee, but just a couple comments. Yeah, we have had a lot of construction happening and a lot of inconvenience. As a matter of fact, I just did a kind of a turnaround on River Road in front of the Oval because of the backup I happened to see ahead of, and I came back down Gilbert. So that looked massive because, if you know the road configuration, that was a long lineup to get from almost in front of the Oval to Road onto River Road. But the flip side is, and I say this to people sometimes, in a way, it's good that the city has resources and money to do all the road improvements that we do. So that's good on the one hand. But I think there is a valid point in all this for us to consider, and it's about minimizing the inconvenience or the traffic jams that people go through. And this isn't a scientific analysis or whatever, but I've just noticed at a couple places, and it's been commented on, when we have road constructions, I just don't know where the traffic safety rules come from. If they come from the city, or if they come from WorkSafe, or they don't come from traffic regulations, I don't think, in the provincial regulations. But, and I'll give you a couple examples. On Steveston Highway at 2 Road, and we did speak about this when the MUP was being put in, the work was being done east of 2 Road on the south side of Steveston Highway, and the traffic diversion sign was on the west side of number 2 Road, going eastbound on the south side of Steveston Highway. So what that meant was all the traffic on Steveston Highway had to funnel into one lane to go through the intersection, even though a considerable amount of traffic on Steveston Highway would be turning right and going southbound on number 2 Road. And that just adds to the congestion. And so my question would be, is there any way that we can streamline some of the traffic control, safety engineering that goes on when we're doing it? And Councillor Heed just referred to 2 and Westminster Highway, and I think that Mr. Zwag commented on it too. That was another place where we had signs that were east of number 2 Road for westbound traffic that forced all the traffic into the center lane. I call it the number 1 lane. So you had to go around the traffic diversion, the pickup truck with the cones and all that stuff. And then at the last second, you could move over into the right-hand lane to make a right-hand turn to go basically northbound over the 2 Road Bridge. So those are just a couple examples. There are lots. And so I wouldn't mind if staff, not now, but perhaps could let us know, like, where do these rules come from? Because sometimes, and I know it's a tough job, directing traffic is a tough job. It's very more difficult than people would ever know. But the point is, if we could make it more efficient, and sometimes, just a little more commonsensical, actually. And I don't know if we have that option, or do these rules come from WorkSafe or somewhere else where we're obligated to? Because sometimes the cone setup and the traffic diversion is so huge that it's befuddling. I don't
Mr.
really
Drag
need an
one.
answer right now unless you've got one.
We have staff here wanting to answer that question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to the Chair, to Councillor Hobbs. With respect to the example on Steveston Highway, we just had a recent example as Westminster Highway and 4 Road. We're doing a box culvert project south of Westminster Highway. So what happened originally, the traffic control setup was to end the lane south of Westminster Highway. What was happening, people were staying in the right lane to the last moment before merging left, and it was causing a backup onto Westminster Highway. So people heading southbound on Fort Road were basically backing up the traffic on Westminster Highway, blocking the east and westbound traffic. So that traffic control measure was moved further towards the intersection, so that wasn't happening. I wasn't here during the Stevenson construction that I remember the setup specifically, but it was likely done for a similar reason. They wanted the merging before the intersection, so the cars aren't going through the intersection and backing up the intersection. With respect to the regulation, it's a combination of areas, but we can endeavor to follow up with a memo. But there's a provincial traffic control regulations, and there's also, of course, the WorkSafe parameter. So we'll get that information to the committee after this meeting.
I think it'd be useful for that memo, because then when we get a complaint, we can say, okay, traffic laws require A, WorkSafe requires B. So while we would like to have a shorter area for merging, we can't because of this particular traffic law. Not that I want to become an expert on traffic safety and construction, but it gives us something to give to the public when they're frustrated. Often they just want to be heard. Councillor McNulty, I think you were back up again.
Yeah, thanks very much. We can beat this to death, but I drive by my radio station to what to avoid, et cetera, on 11:30. And in the morning at 6 o'clock, I love Global. Caitlin's very, very good. And she says, avoid here on the Georgia Viaduct, avoid the Fraser Street Bridge, avoid this, because there's traffic coming in. Avoid out in Langley at 257th Street, so that the people on Langley. I just cannot believe we have 31 projects coming up for paving. Why we can't send out a press release when we're starting to pave those to all the stations, saying we are going to be paving Williams Road today between so-and-so and so-and-so, and it's out there. And they can do what they'll pick it up and use it. I don't know how that could be so hard to do, to make it easier for our people in here. And then I would avoid Williams Road, and so would you. I think it's one of coordination. 31, I don't know how many days it takes to pave it, but that's one every 10 days. It's a problem somewhere in Richmond every 10 days. So, and if it takes, a day to scrape and a day to do this and a day to do that, maybe it's 3 days. So we know there are problems. So anyhow, I'm not on this committee, but I'd love to put it through and have a good discussion on Monday to make a referral that we send out when this does. Staff will say, we're gonna do it here, and away we go, just like we put those big markers, those yellow markers. It says, slow down or detour between April 5th and April 9th on Blundell. I don't know what it costs to do those, but I think Barney got 2 or 3 of them in Richmond. Those are great. Thank you for those. But we can do one more. So anyhow, I leave it with the committee. Maybe just keep the cards and letters coming, and I'll answer the phone calls, and they can bitch at me all the time and let me know. But I think we can do something a hell of a lot more beneficial and more proactive. And it'll help our workers too. You won't have the cars there and our flaggers, and keep them safe as well. Because people, I see them, they drive through sometimes once they're frustrated. Somebody's standing, thank God now they stand on the side. They don't stand on the middle of the road.
I think Councillor Heed wants to follow up on that idea.
So anyhow,
Yeah, and,
come on,
and,
let's
you know,
try to get up
let's,
to 21st.
I'll make the referral that he's wording,
What was that?
So,
your referral,
Oh, I just said that we send a press release out every time we're.
and take a proactive approach.
Construction.
I think it would be a good communication strategy for our staff to alert the media, whether it's AM
There's 7
11:30.
people in the communications department.
Yeah.
Well, there's multiple media, 11:30, of course, 7:30 is now NW, so they still do it every, whatever
Couple minutes,
amount of time. Global does it, CTV does it, so I just,
We already
let's make the referral.
We already do it. Now just include traffic.
Okay, so let's pull it together, everybody. So you want to make a motion that that the city staff notify the radio stations, et cetera, when construction is expected in a particular area in Richmond.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that?
Media.
Seconded by Councillor Wolf. Okay, any further comments? Okay, Michael, Councillor Wolf?
Just the one further comment, it relates to all of this. So when the drivers get frustrated with all of these issues, and then we couple that with pedestrians getting frustrated, then we have some risky behaviors and potential injuries and fatalities. And in this Ironwood area specifically, I've received a number of complaints of people trying to walk from the 5 and Steveston intersection to the bus stop to head south through the tunnel. And that intersection where they need to cross and they push the button and it never changes, they jaywalk. And I talked to other people who are drivers, and they're constantly seeing these jaywalkers just book it because they're frustrated. They waited 3 cycles of the lights, and I had one person share a 5-minute video of them taping it, and I sent it to Mr. B. I'm not sure if you were able to see it. And I don't know if there was any change or if you were able to communicate with the ministry on that one.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, absolutely. I didn't see the video, it didn't come through, but we did work with MOTT, and it turned out the button you were talking about was defective. It was MOTT's, and they've told us they've replaced it. So, you know, certainly if there's any more issues, let me know, and we'll talk to them again.
This is why we encourage the public to tell us what's going on, because sometimes there's something that's broken, such as that very important light for pedestrians, and if we're not notified, we may or may not notice it. So, okay, anybody else? So the motion is to direct staff to notify the media regarding roadwork in Richmond. Oh, Councillor Hobbs would like to speak to that?
No, just a quick question on it. I mean, I think you're including social media, different
Yes,
social media forms
right.
in that too? Okay.
Don't use social media when you're driving. You have to update your own if you can do it.
All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That was an unexpected motion, but there you go. Okay, so any other items for council? Otherwise, we'll go to manager, Councillor. Oh, right, yeah. Ferguson Road and Handy Darts for Councillor, or Michael Wolf.
Yeah, thank you. So they'll be brief. So the first one, Ferguson Road, that's the road that's on Sea Island that heads out past McDonald Beach, heads towards Iona. And when it does that kind of S-curve before Iona and the wastewater facility, there was plans to do a breach of the waterways so that the end of McDonald Slough was connected with the ocean. But now that Metro Vancouver has gone with the alternative approach to save money, they've said they're going to not do the ecological projects and the community amenities. So I've dug a little deeper into like which ones are they not going to do. And apparently the Ferguson Road breaching is the like tentative one. They still might do it. So first a question to staff, are we involved in that? Because they've told me that there's multiple stakeholders, but they wouldn't name if Richmond has a seat at that table and is involved in that. And if we are involved, I would hope that we would be advocating for that.
Anybody want to take, oh, here we go, over here. There we go.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we are included in the planning for Metro Vancouver. We are advised of their continuous plans for changing those habitat options. I haven't received an update on the bridge option yet, but we are working with them. And in the past, we actually did also support that project. It was one of the easier projects to facilitate, also because of the log jams. So I don't have an update on if they're proceeding quite yet, but we do work with Metro Vancouver and get regular updates, so I'll be sure to bring that up at the next meeting.
Okay, great. So then our committee doesn't need to direct staff to do that. Sounds like they're already involved. But one of the things I also heard, that maybe just so staff hears it as well, one of the holdbacks potentially on that project is going to be the log storage. So I don't know how the city is, I don't know if we're at all involved in that because it's outside of our dike and our jurisdiction. But that's, I think, one of the challenges that they're seeing going forward, because the people storing logs don't want salt damaging their wood, so.
Okay, well, that's be interesting to hear back on that one.
Yeah.
And you wanted to talk about the handy dart?
Yeah, real quick on that one. So Mayor Council, we received letter back in March and then I think in May from the Richmond Poverty Reduction Coalition. And I just recently tried to follow up. Has there been any action in regards to taking handy dart, which is currently one part of the greater service that is contracted out, to bring that in-house? So I've heard that the Translink is still thinking about it. Many of the neighboring municipalities to us have done two things. So they've signed on to like a letter that they agree that Translink should fund it and bring it in-house. And secondly, other municipalities have written letters to a few of the ministers. So I guess my question here for the committee is, you might not be as familiar with it. I just kind of got wind that nothing has happened and they're still waiting on Richmond to do something. So would this be something we would entertain at next month's meeting if I recirculate the information and we maybe consider that as a committee? Or would we not, and we want to send it to general purposes and have everybody involved?
I'm not sure. Maybe send what you have to staff, and maybe they could best advise us whether this would be a transportation and a Public Works and Transportation Committee issue or a General Purposes Committee issue.
And I don't know if Mr. B could comment on it, because you sometimes attend meetings or know about these discussions. Do you know if there's been any movement on handy dart?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, yeah, most of that, the discussions I've heard have been in closed, so I don't think it's appropriate for me to discuss them in open.
All right, maybe we can get a memo on that and figure out whether we should move forward and close then. Terrific.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so that was it for you, Councillor Wolf, and nothing else from council, so we have a,
Officially, what's happening at Kingfisher and Steve's Highway?
that's right, so I apologize. Councillor McNulty would like,
For the record.
yeah, would like an update from staff, is over there, gotcha. Because we did receive a memo from staff, but I think it's good to have in public the information that we received about the improvements to Kingfisher and Swallow and Stevenson Highway.
Yep, through the chair to Councilor McNulty. So a summary of what we're planning on doing is on the bike lane or the MUP, painting some speed bars and slow markings on both sides of the intersection to remind users to slow down. Install some signage on both sides of the intersection, reminding cyclists and mobility users to yield to vehicles in the intersection. And also adding a sign on the southwest corner, reminding southbound left turning traffic of the presence of cyclists and pedestrians using the MUP on Steveston Highway. So this will be at Kingfisher and the other
Swallow?
street, Swallow, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, question from Councillor.
Thank you for the report, appreciate what you're doing. Could we ask the neighbors in each of those corners to trim their hedges? So when people are coming out, instead of seeing the juniper, they might see the car coming down the road. It's their I mean, it's great that they complain to us, but they have a responsibility, those corner lots have a responsibility as well.
Yeah, through the chair to
Coming out.
Through Chair to Councilor McNulty, staff will go out there and re-review the sight lines. There are standards, and if we do talk to them, yeah, and if they don't, then the city will do
It's
it.
all your fault, and it's actually their fault. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Liu, I believe you have something on that as well.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you to staff for the work you've done on this, appreciate that. On the corner of Kingfisher and Steveston, they've actually taken down the hedges and planted some new, they're little bitty ones right now. And so I think it'll just be a matter of keeping track of that. However, no, I'm talking about the Kingfisher one. I'm not sure what's happening over in Swallow. I live on Kingfisher, so that's where I turn and look. But I know when you come over the Lionsgate Bridge, and you know where you can turn right into the park, and if there is a cyclist coming, there's lights that flash. So let's keep an eye on this, because maybe it does make sense to have some sensors on those two locations, because they're the two locations on that whole Steveston Highway stretch where cyclists are coming that are then coming into contact with a residential road, not a farm road, or not just one singular driveway. So it might make sense to have, eventually we put something more serious in there, like a sensor with some flashing lights. I don't know who you flash the lights to, that a car is coming or that a bike's coming, or both, but maybe it's something to look into as we keep an eye on this, or maybe it's a pilot that we want to run, or just go ahead and do. Maybe we can get a price on that and figure that out. Thanks.
Through the chair, staff can take that into consideration and report back.
Okay, all right. Well, it's great to solve these traffic issues because we hear from the public on all these problematic corners. So I'm glad we took the time to go through some of the issues and alert staff as to what we're hearing. So that's great. Okay, if we're good with that, then I believe we have a manager's report.
Thank you for having me. I'm just here to update committee on our 2025 Getting for Rain campaign and seasonal preparedness activities as we head into a wet season. So this week we did launch our fourth annual Getting Ready for Rain campaign. The campaign aims to build community resiliency through preparing residents for heavy rainfall and helping reduce localized flooding. It highlights shared responsibility. While city crews are strengthening and maintaining critical infrastructure, residents are encouraged to take practical steps to help protect their own properties and their neighborhoods. We've got three primary objectives. The first is to educate residents on what their responsibilities are, as well as what proactive measures they can take. This would include how they dispose of leaves, trying to keep them off of the city streets or ditches where they're going to impact our system's flow. The second is to discourage harmful practices, and the last is to raise awareness of the city's flood prevention activities. The campaign for this year will include city social media boosted posts with stories and reels, the city e-newsletter, transit shelter ads, posters and facility screens at City Hall, the Oval, and community centers. We do have print ads in the Richmond Sentinel and Chinese community outreach through print ads November 2nd and 16th in Mingpao. We've also got targeted mail-out letters to residents that live in heavy leaf areas, and that's where we typically see a lot of challenges. We also have internal awareness, and that's through the City Hall elevator screens, briefings to frontline staff, and we've also developed coordinated operational response plans in advance of expected events. So a few of the examples that Public Works has been doing to prepare for this fall are ongoing preventative maintenance programs to ensure the capacity and good working condition of our drainage infrastructure, our SCADA infrastructure, and our drainage pump stations. Our accelerated catch basin cleaning on our MRN or major routes. We do have those side inlets which extra material can get into, so it's something that we do service outside of their regular cleaning schedule. Coordination with partners such as Ministry of Transportation and Transit, where our drainage systems are interconnected and some of their maintenance activities do impact what how Richmond system functions. We do review all of our known hotspots, anything where we've had a past issue each fall to make sure that they're operating as best they can. All of our major canals and ditches for debris or aquatic invasives, which may be impacting flow. We do a pre-rainfall event lowering of all of our drainage catchments through our pump stations, so we're able to leverage the tide and leverage our great drainage pump station infrastructure to drop levels as low as we can before a heavy rainfall. And we've also, of course, set up just yesterday our sandbag distribution station that's available at the Public Works Yard. We do have different levels of events, so if we were expecting any kind of major atmospheric river event, we do have the ability to also distribute sandbags at different community centers throughout the city. So last fall, we actually did experience a pretty significant atmospheric river event. The rainfall totals actually exceeded that of 2021. Council had endorsed a number of action items from 2021. Staff has also learned from 2021, and through upgrades of capital infrastructure, strong communications and coordination, and pre-event planning, we did see a significant reduction in the number of issues. We do continue to debrief after each event and identify new challenges which may have arisen and action solutions. And we do actively monitor forecasts for both rainfall, wind, and of course our river levels. We do at present time anticipate an event which begins tomorrow evening for a 24-hour period. It's a bit hit or miss over exactly what we're looking at, but it could be up to 50 millimeters in a 24-hour period. It's certainly something that our system can handle, but staff are taking a number of actions in advance to make sure we're best positioned for that. And that's the end of my update. Thank you for your time and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Hobbs, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, and through the chair. Thanks for that extremely comprehensive update. And also just on the communications piece, I think you just laid out a communications plan for, a multitude of issues. And we were talking about communications a little while ago. That was very comprehensive too. Just a quick question. If you gave like 1 or 2 hints for individual homeowners as a priority to look out for during a major event, what would it be?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, the biggest impact to any rain event is leaves. Leaves or branches and all the stuff that starts dropping from trees in the fall. So they do have their own private drainage infrastructure, which is often their internal infrastructures. So we do encourage them, residents, to go and make sure those are all clear, as well as looking at the curb and gutter. It might be a couple houses down, but often even though our street sweepers go through on a regular basis, we've got, I think, over 10,000 catch basins in the city, so it doesn't take long for stuff to drop on top of them. So just keeping gutters clean is one of the biggest things they can do.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway for everybody, and everybody can pitch in by doing that. So thanks.
So this reminds me of the Snow Angel program where we have elderly residents that cannot shovel the sidewalk in front of their house. If an elderly homeowner or resident was unable to clear the catch basin, do we have a similar, not maybe Snow Angel or Leaf Angel program where we can get extra help if someone needs it?
To the chair, all catch basins are city infrastructure, so it is ultimately the city's responsibility. We certainly look for the public to help, but any resident can call our 24-hour dispatch line at Public Works or through our website, submit a request, and staff do respond to all requests. We do have a 24-hour patroller, so we do have staff available to come out and make sure that they are clear.
Oh, that's good to know. So let's get that memo out to all of council so we can pass it on to the public before we get all that rain. So, all right. Any other updates from staff? Okay. We're moved to adjourn. All those in favor? We're done.